Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. Hello, my name is Rosalie Olmsted, and I am the Strategic Partner Coordinator at Women in Cybersecurity. We often go by our acronym WiCyS because that is exactly what we are, a global cyber sisterhood. It's a pleasure to have you all here today with WiCyS Strategic Partner Cisco. But before we get started and before I pass it over to our presenter at Cisco, I'd like to give you a quick overview of the WiCyS organization. WiCyS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. Our community is made up of over 11,000 members in 103 different countries. We have 72 professional affiliates you're able to join, as well as 314 student chapters around the globe. We offer a wide range of initiatives and skills development programs throughout the year for all career levels. Currently, we have applications open and ongoing for the following programs: our book club, the mentorship program, the SANS Executive Cybersecurity Exercise, the Senior Leaders Network, our Security Training Scholarship, and our Vulnerability Disclosure Program. Additionally, all of our job openings from WiCyS Strategic Partners are available on our Job Board++. We owe all of our wonderful initiatives and programs to our strategic partners who fund us year-round. Our Tier 1 partners being 3M, Akamai, Amazon, Bloomberg, Cisco, Ford, Google, Lockheed Martin, Optum, Sandia National Labs, SANS, and SentinelOne. Please feel free and remember to ask questions or comments throughout the entire webinar today. You're able to do so in that question box below, and time permitting, we are going to be addressing them during the Q&A session at the end. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the WiCyS newsletter to stay up to date on all of our upcoming programs, events, and initiatives that are taking place throughout the year. You can find it at WiCyS.org in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to a security specialist at Cisco.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I feel, at least personally, is not so often touched upon in such a global venue. And by the way, thank you so much for WiCyS for having us today. We're going to talk about AI and security in a very specific sector, that is public sector. And the title is a little bit provocative in the sense that we want to leverage this new and fast-moving world. And sometimes it feels like chaos, but hopefully we're going to see together in these moments that we have together that it really presents a lot of opportunities to enhance and grow your career. Okay. First of all, today we are going to talk about a very specific public sector sales. We're going to talk about EMEA. EMEA, for those of you who are not maybe that familiar with the acronym, is Europe, Middle East, and Asia. In Africa, sorry, I'm sorry about that. For Asia, it would be APJC. And we're going to start out by answering three very simple questions. And it might seem at first that they're not really related to security, right? They're more general knowledge, but we'll see why those matters. And the first question I would like to ask is, what is public sector? And if you think about it, the answer is easy until it's not. Because, of course, public sector means the government. But it can also mean private companies under certain circumstances, depending, of course, on which country we are talking about. In Europe, this might be different than in the Middle East, and it might be different than in Africa. But in general, there are companies that are owned partially by the state, so they operate as a private operator, but they're still subject to certain rules, especially under the security. And we have now here also a definition of public sector that is a little bit more encompassing as government-owned organizations and agencies. It can include areas, but not limited to education, healthcare, law enforcement, public transportation, and so on and so forth. Okay, Let's restrict it a little bit more. As you guess from my accent, I'm from the European Union, and also because I feel it's a very good example of lawmaking over AI, and it's not just my opinion. There are also various publications discussing this. We're going to talk about AI Act. What is AI Act? Some of you may already have heard about it. AI Act is a regulatory framework that was proposed by the European Union to govern adoption of artificial intelligence technologies. And by the way, they don't just mean generative AI. They mean all the technologies that use artificial intelligence to perform a task. It has at its core various goals. AI systems should be safe, transparent, respecting fundamental rights. I would like to mention the Rome Call for AI that Cisco signed earlier this year, and it's a call to action from different companies from all over the world, taking the pledge to develop AI systems that defend human life and human rights. The most important thing, let's say, for the purpose of our talk today is talking about how AI Act classifies applications. Because depending on the risk that the AI application poses on human life, then there are certain regulations that both providers and the sources must abide to. And overall, the purpose of AI Act is to promote trustworthy AI, but having compliance and accountability measures. So, of course, we can take a step back and say, okay, I want to sell AI. Who makes the rules? Europe, okay, is the European Union. And then we have the national agencies for cybersecurity. And you may say, okay, but we're talking about AI, right? Yeah, that's why we need security, because AI systems need to be secure by default. And this is something that is challenging, but it's also a continuous source of innovation. Okay. So we understood what is public sector. We understood what is AI. Let's put it together. How do we sell AI in public sector? And of course, again, what I'm going to say here is a little bit of a simplification. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that. That's what I mean. But, in the interest of time, we're going to take a little bit of a simplified overview. A public tender is typically an official government request. It is typically published by an agency, depending on the country. This might be different. It's public. It invites businesses to submit bids to supply goods, services, or complete projects. And of course, every country tries to make this process as open and as competitive as possible. What do we mean by it? The system should be open to new players, and at the same time, everyone should be put in the conditions to respond. So when you respond to a public tender, especially public tender on artificial intelligence, it's really important to be aware of the limitations, of the opportunities. Typically, there is a questions and answers process before the tender is closed, and the answers that are given shape what kind of solutions you can propose. And the idea, of course, behind having a public tender is that it's going to allow to pick the best value offer for whatever task we need to accomplish. So let's take a step back and see if we managed to answer the three questions that we asked. Who is public sector? Our customer for the purpose of this talk. It's the government, it's healthcare, it can be an hospital, it can be the Ministry of Justice, it can be the post office, depending on the country you're on. And all of these companies are going to have a slightly different way they want to do AI. And that's the beauty of it, right? Because depending on what you need to do, AI is a very powerful tool. But at the same time, we need to be aware of what are the rules, and not just the rules on the AI systems, but also the rules on how you can make security. Let's make a Europe example. And I apologize in advance if I'm going to use Europe as an example of my talk. That's what I know. That's where I work. Hopefully, I mean, let's make this a challenge. Next year, let's focus on other theaters. But let's say I hope you'll bear with me today. Today we talk about Europe. You have to be aware, for example, of NIS2 and IS. which is a set of rules for security in companies, not just public, also private. Or, for example, if you're talking about banks, you need to be aware of DORA. And all of these are huge, often conflicting, very complicated rules about the market. And the more you master it, the better you can, of course, operate. How do you sell? We said that it's through public standards. So these are our building blocks to make a successful sale in AI. Okay, so you could say, Cisco, I like it. I think I understood everything cool, right? I mean, I know who to sell. I know what to sell. AI is going to change the world. Yes, but I think we have a small, cute elephant in the room, which is how do we make AI secure? And this might sound simple, but it actually is not, because come think of it. AI, I'm going to focus on generative AI. By the way, of course, the elephant you're seeing today is generated with OpenAI. I thought it was a funny way to ask these questions. First of all, let's focus on app development. I mean, raise your hand if you haven't, but I'm sure most of us have used a generative tool at least once to write code or to check some code that we wrote. And of course, it's beautiful, right? It's your best friend at your fingertips, helping you write code faster. It lowers the costs of production. It helps you have maybe new ideas. Lovely. It also needs to be secure. And making secure app development is still pretty much an open task, an open quest. There are many different ways to do it. And more in general, how do we make AI usage secure for people, for tools, and for processes? Let me make a concrete example. I decide to use generative AI to enhance processes inside a logistic company. How do I make sure that the AI tools are only used for the purpose they were agreed upon? How do I make sure there is no prompt poisoning? How do I make sure that if we go to the cloud, then the transit is secure? Or maybe I have an on-prem solution, but still there might be someone trying to misuse the tool. So I hope you agree with me, but if you don't, we're going to have some time for questions at the end. I would love to discuss this further into details. AI opened a lot of doors, but it also opened a lot of security questions, and companies need to answer to this question because these are questions my customers have. How do I make sure that people don't upload to the system something they were not supposed to? Maybe because, in full goodwill, they wanted to translate something into another language. And, the wrong document ends up online and then it's in the cloud. And then what do I do? I mean, I'm making an example from real life. So I think we can all agree that AI inherently is different from any other technology we want to protect. What do I mean by that? First of all, AI usage is very pervasive because almost every single angle of the market will have at least a little bit of amount of usage in it, which means a lot more people are using it, which means a lot of people interact. I'm going to focus on generative AI methods, which are on the right-hand side. Both images are taken from the NIST Adversarial Machine Learning publication, which I encourage you to look up online. It's very interesting. By the way, it was co-authored by Cisco, so very, very interesting. And now the image is a little bit small, but I hope you'll be able to still see it. You can see that there are the three triads of security, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And suddenly we have a fourth player in the room. We have misuse, which means the usage, either willful or unwillful, of AI systems in a way that they were not supposed to. For example, I decide I'm a malicious actor, and I use a prompt. I believe we all know what is a prompt, but let's just repeat just for clarity. A request that I made to the model. Maybe I make the model tell me something I was not supposed to know. The easiest example, source code. I'm not supposed to see a source code of an application, right? So we need to have systems in place that prevent me from doing an usage of the application that was not intended for. Or let's make another example. Do you remember denial of service? Let's revise if you don't remember what denial of service is. I have a server, I skip sending requests until the server crashes. I'm overly simplifying it, okay? So it's much more complicated than that, actually, but you can also do distributed denial of service. But just to make an example, you can do the same with the model. If you don't have a system in place that regulates how much token I can use, so how much requests I can do, or what kind of endpoints are trying to access my model, I am at risk of, disrupting business operations and have terrible consequences on day-to-day activities. And again, I won't explain all the possible ways you can attack generative AI models. I encourage you to check the publication. But what I really want to say is this is an open world. And for a security professional, this is an opportunity to really level up on something that the industry needs and that it's going to be really, really, really relevant for any kind of company that uses AI. So, the purpose of I hope, Rosalie, I think we can all agree on this. The purpose of Women in Cybersecurity is to create opportunities for everyone and to spark maybe the beginning of a wonderful career. I really believe, my personal opinion, that generative AI and security intersection is really a field that will bring us a lot of opportunities going forward. Okay, so any other point I wanted to discuss? Of course, we see on the left-hand side predictive AI. What do we mean by predictive AI? Because like this, it sounds a little bit exotical. We just mean the good old machine learning systems. Let's make an example. Computer vision on cars. So a system that uses a camera and, for example, on the back rear of the car, realizes that there is an obstacle, and the system recognizes it as an obstacle. It might be something that is very common. Maybe you have it in your car, but that's computer vision. Imagine if that is attacked. And this is still possible, right? It's not something that, it's not possible, or it's not relevant. So I hope this was interesting. On behalf of Cisco and Women in Cybersecurity at Cisco, I would love to thank you for your attention. And I would like to open the floor for questions. I see one coming from Rosalie, which is, what do you think are the main aspects to combining AI and security? And of course, I believe there are two main directions you can take in general. One is, how do I develop secure AI systems? And of course, security doesn't come as an afterthought. Security has to be weaved into design. And there are many ways you can think of a secure system. You might have heard of many different ways you can keep the network secure. The same goes for app development. The other aspect is making AI usage secure, which requires observability. For example, I'm just going to name drop. This is not a sales pitch, but you may want to check out a Cisco product called AI Defense. That is an example of a tool that does both observability on a model, because it tracks what models you have available on your system and how they're being used. And for example, you remember the example we made at the beginning regarding, I have someone that really needs to translate a report to English, maybe because they are applying to some funds, sometimes European funds, for example. European Union, typically you need to send a request in English. We are in a rush. I decide to upload it to the system, to maybe to, an open source, an open system, a cloud system. And suddenly my very precious and very, 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 very secret document goes out in the cloud. So that's an example of, something that could be prevented by a tool like this. So, I encourage you to check out the AI taxonomy document by NIST. I'm going to quickly grab the link, and then I'm going to ask Rosalie to help me out, send it forward. Just a moment. I'm sorry. That's the beauty of live streaming, I would say. Okay, so this is document, and Rosalie, I'm gonna send it to you in the here. Okay, and this is, of course, adversarial machine learning, a taxonomy and terminology of attacks and mitigations. I also mentioned AI defense, which I think is a very good moment to drop this link, which is a link about the product itself. So I don't know if we have any other incoming questions. If not, I'm happy to go back and, okay. First security, okay. We have questions from, we have questions incoming. First security practice every business needs to consider when implementing a new AI tool. Well, that's a very good question. I would say, I'm gonna take a more general statement, at least to my customers. What I typically advise is for them to take a very good look at two things. First of all, what are the weak spots in your own network? Because in your install base, there might be tools that need upgrading. Maybe you have a firewall you haven't touched in 5 years because life happens. It's a very good time to enhance your security posture, because the better your security posture is, the easier it's going to be to integrate AI into it. And then, of course, the other advice I always give is to really think of your use cases. What problem are you trying to solve? Don't think, I mean, what can I use AI for is a very good question, but it should always counterbalance by what are my actual needs. Because sometimes maybe predictive AI is enough for your own, I would say, your own scope. So it's always a checks and balances system. Okay, I see another questions coming in. Okay, so one regarding, so there are several questions. Just a moment, let me just take a look. Okay, I think that, so there is a questions incoming about human interactions in the usage of AI tools, and how do I position myself as a professional in this intersection? I'm rephrasing a little bit the question. I believe that, AI helps people work better, helps people do things that first maybe before took a long time, or they were difficult, or they were not even possible. So it's a tool that enhances what people can do. But I take a human-centric approach. People at the core, people first. Okay, we have a very interesting question regarding high risk under the European Union AI Act. So let's pedal back for a moment. You remember AI Act? I'm gonna quickly go to the slide so we can all see the same thing. So you remember that AI classifies applications depending on risk, and it's legal document, by the way. It's public. Everyone can take a look. It's translated in different languages, and what high risk are applications that have a benefit but can also have a negative impact on human life. They are highly regulated, and if you know already that you might be in a high risk category, then there are some extra precautions that can be made. Of course, by the way, the more secure your system is, again, the easier it is to do AI in a company. And so that's really interesting to take a look at and see how this problem can be solved. There is another question. Okay, there is a question regarding. Just a second. There is a question regarding AI defense. So AI defense protects models. In the link I shared, you can see some concrete examples depending on what features are available and what you're trying to protect. then let's see. A lot of questions incoming. Let me just see. Okay. We have another question. How is Cisco supporting organization in Europe to achieve compliance with regulations like NIS2 and the European AI Act? I would say it's a collective team effort. Of course, we have, sales specialists and consultants that are trained on the specific topics, especially as what regards. So for people who are more vertical on a product, you are aware of how that particular legislation affects the functionalities. We also have dedicated experts that help us frame products and use cases so that we are compliant. But of course, it's an always changing. It's a game of always adapting to changing legislation. AI legislation is changed a lot over the years, and so that's more or less the answer to this. And okay, so let me just see. So there is a question on computer vision for traffic control. I would have to check for specific examples. However, in the publication I shared, there is the publication by NIST. There is a section that have all the concrete examples on how computer vision is, what are the most common attacks and defense strategies according to that. So that's an example. And okay, so I believe we have more or less from what. Okay, from what I can see, just a moment, my connection is a bit slow. So I see a question regarding the links. So I've shared the links that are present in the slides have also been shared in the announcement section. So there is the first one is the first one you can see is the publication by NIST, and the second one is the link on AI defense. On the Cisco website, you can see the whole AI portfolio and have a little bit of a wider idea. So let's see. I believe I more or less addressed every question. Okay. So I believe we are more or less up to speed. Again, I encourage you to take a look at the document. Start thinking about how, if you work in a company, how can you develop safely AI? If you're a student, I strongly encourage you to, if you are an AI student, to have a good understanding of cybersecurity and vice versa. WiCyS has a lot of resources available on the topic, a lot of wonderful webinars, and I'm really, really, really happy that we had the opportunity to discuss this together.
Sorry, that took a second. My connection paused. I just wanted to say thank you for taking time out of your day for joining us for this webinar hosted by Cisco and this incredible security specialist. Thank you for sharing all these resources and covering a difficult topic at times. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. And again, I just wanted to say a big thank you to our presenter and taking the time to share and discuss everything about leveraging chaos.
Thank you so much.
I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.